Hello, teachers. It's a really weird time to be doing a classroom tour, but I think I've gotten the classroom to a point where I'm happy with it, and this is basically the only time that I have. So let's do a classroom tour at the end of September, shall we? I actually moved from my previous classroom where I was teaching digital design to another school altogether where I'm teaching studio art. So it's going to be a lot different as far as my different structures and organizational techniques that I demonstrated in my previous classroom tour. And if you haven't seen that one, I'll link it in the description bar below. So if you have any questions or suggestions, I would love some suggestions. Please write them in the comments and I will take them into account. I don't consider the classroom done by any means. There's a lot of things that definitely could use some room for improvement, and things that I'll be changing throughout the school year. So let me know in the comments if you have any ideas that you care to share with me. But other than that, I hope you can take some inspiration from my new classroom, and I hope you enjoy the classroom tour. Bye!
So we're starting the tour at my desk, and I'm giving you a rough overview of the room as I found it this morning. I go into the classroom fairly early, around 6:45 every day, and it allows me a little bit of time to collect my thoughts and prepare for the day ahead. This is pretty much how I find it upon walking in most days. On my desk, you'll find several different stationery tools and my sub-plans, a printer that was gifted to me by some department members, my voice amplifier, a thermos of water, and my document camera. This document camera I typically use when I'm doing demonstrations for sketchbook assignments. It's really helpful. I bought it over Think at Office Depot, and it was definitely worth the investment. I also have a voice amplifier that I use whenever I'm doing demos, and it really helps to amplify my voice so that I'm not constantly yelling what I'm instructing, especially over the very loud AC. Of my desk, I have some inspirational artwork that was gifted to me by former students, and I also have some craftsmanship posters that you can find for download on my Teachers Pay Teacher store if you're interested. I'll have a link in the description bar of this video. In the back of my desk, I have a shelf that I assembled from Walmart. Clearly, I didn't tidy it up ahead of time for this video, but on this shelf, I store extra supplies that I can't fit, from bins that I use to distribute paper, to paper pads that I've prepped for projects, acrylic paint that I can't fit in the closet, and other random supplies that I have for upcoming projects. I have my aprons hanging and ready to go for whenever I do a demonstration, and I have my beautiful pothos plants to inspire and cheer me up throughout the day. To the right of my desk, I have a fold-out table where I place excess supplies my students might need, as well as printouts for different assignments. I have my phone jail and several different reminders for class rules and policies. I need to confiscate phones at the beginning of every class period, so phone jail comes in very handy. And since I have 3 large windows, I have more plants in different parts of the room, along with different artworks on the wall. This is for a subtractive drawing that my students recently completed, where they had to use erasers as drawing tools. On the far side of the classroom, I have a large wall with a lot of posters and artwork by students. This was a recent project where they created an original composition using the rule of thirds, with candy as their subject matter. Inspiration for this was taken off Pinterest. Beneath that, I have several posters for principles of design and elements of art that I actually downloaded from different sources. These particular posters for the elements of art that you see in front of you were actually downloaded for free from the Canadian Crayola website. So check that out because they have a lot of high quality posters that you can download for free and then print and laminate for your classroom. I have 2 drying racks that we haven't used that extensively yet. And on the floor, I have several large bins that are used to hold students' sketchbooks so that they have the ability to leave them in the classroom if they don't wish to take them in their backpacks every day. Technically, this room is a science lab, which is why I have so many random science-related things. And sadly, I have to share this room with a science teacher for 2 periods, so I'm not too thrilled about that. But overall, I think we make it work as an art lab. I have several cleaning supplies to the right of the sink, from spray bottles and paper towels that are used for cleanup after class. And on the sink, I have several reminders that I printed and laminated for my expectations for cleanup for every student, every class period. In these closets that are meant to hold chemicals, I actually store acrylic paint bottles that we'll be using shortly when we start our painting units. And to the left, I have my closet of doom. I have to say, this closet stresses me out on a daily basis, but it's just there's no other solution that I can think of to store student artwork at this point. I did mess up in not measuring the poster boards ahead of time, so I can't even close the closet anymore, as you can see. So if anybody has any suggestions for how to improve upon this, please leave them in the comments. To the left of the closet of doom, I have some supply closets for storing art supplies, which I have fairly well organized into different clear bins labeled with whatever the supply name is. And then another closet with supplies. This one's not as well organized, but it's well enough that I can find basically what I'm looking for. These posters were downloaded from teacherspayteachers.com, and they just feature different artistic genres. On top of the closets, I have excess supplies like paper pads, rolls of paper, and easels that were purchased by the previous art teacher. So I try to occupy as much of the vertical space as I can, so I can fit as many supplies in my room as possible. On every single student table, you will find one teal caddy that holds all the supplies that my students will need for any given art project. I purchased these teal caddies several years ago in Walmart, and they have been extremely helpful to me. You can see how they have a handle, which makes them very easy to transport from one table to another. And they also hold quite a lot of different supplies that I organize roughly into cups. Students do often take advantage and put trash in them, but overall, if it's not on the floor or on the table, it doesn't stress me out as much. In front of my desk, I have 2 tables that I set up for small group demos with supplies for watercolor techniques I'll be demonstrating this afternoon. On the whiteboard, I have project expectations, including examples of different assignments my students will be doing, and I separated the board with duct tape so it's clear what Art 1 is doing as opposed to Art 2. I have a Promethean board that I share with the other teacher in the room, and then we split it up so she uses one whiteboard and I use the other.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know if you have any comments or questions below in the comment section, and give it a like if you liked it. And check out my Teachers Pay Teachers store if you're interested in any of the things that I talked about that I had on my store. I have a lot of design content from when I taught digital design, but it is my intention to add more visual arts content to my Teachers Pay Teachers store, so check it out, and thank you so much for your support.